Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I'm going to be talking to you about this baby, Liszt's Faust Symphony, or A Faust Symphony, or The Faust Symphony. And this is Leonard Bernstein's recording on Deutsche Grammophon with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. Probably one of his best late recordings, and a remarkable recording overall, because how many conductors make two recordings in their career of Liszt's Faust Symphony? I mean, Bernstein must have felt some special affinity for this work. He actually made it the subject of one of his young people's concerts, actually one of the worst of his young people's concerts, because he really couldn't play the thing. He had to chat about it and then cut it up and play little bits of it and try and explain what it was. And I don't think it went over particularly well, actually, but you can watch it and see for yourself. The Faust Symphony is a work sort of more honored in the breach, as they say. You know, I mean, people speak about it with some degree of admiration, but nobody actually listens to it. And it isn't easy. It's not an easy piece. It consists of three tone poems, essentially. First, representing three characters. The first is Faust, and the second is Gretchen, or Marguerite, or whatever you call her. They call her Gretchen or Marguerite, actually. And the last is, of course, the juicy one, Mephistopheles. And then, as usual, Liszt has to find a way to end the thing. And that's where it gets even more controversial. Because Mephistopheles, everybody agrees, is a tour de force of musical expression. It's a parody of the themes from the Faust movement. It's sardonic and it's mocking, and it's really an amazing piece of thematic transformation and also musical expression. Because before this, music which is satirical or sardonic or mocking in that kind of emotional expression, it hadn't existed. It was a completely new thing, and later composers, Strauss and Mahler, and really took it over in writing some of their similarly bitter and mocking scherzo-like passages and parody works. It was really a tremendous achievement. It's a masterpiece. There's no doubt about it. And then, like I said, we have the ending. What was Liszt going to do? Well, he had to set the final chorus mysticus, which is, of course, the ending also of Mahler's Eighth Symphony. And he decided to do it with a male choir and a tenor solo, and it sort of comes out of nowhere. It has an organ. It does everything possible to try and make a grandiose conclusion. Does it work? It kind of depends on the performance, actually. The first time I ever saw it, I thought it was actually funny. And the reason it was funny is all Liszt's fault. Because instead of having a nice male choir or a tenor soloist who just sit there, what Liszt writes in the score is that they should all come walking out on stage dressed in white robes, singing the final choir with, of course, Liszt, who never lets the music speak for itself. He always has to tell you what it's supposed to mean, with a solemn expression, serious expression. Well, I just laughed. I mean, so did a lot of other people. It was really as a bit of musical theatrics, I don't think it works at all. I really don't. Purely as music on a recording, thank God you don't have to watch it happen. It works much better. It really does. And this is just a tremendous performance. Bernstein, like I said, really believed in the work. And this piece had a sort of moment in the sun discographically. There were a bunch of recordings. They all popped up around the same time. I mean, there was Kurt Masur, and then Schulte did it, and Muti did it, and Bernstein did it. I'm not saying it was like in the same year because these recordings span the digital divide. Some were analog, some were digital. But it became like a thing very briefly, and has since completely vanished back into oblivion, which is a shame because it was tremendously influential as a work. I mean, Sibelius's Kullervo, that is one of the children of this. And there are quite a few others. It was an immensely influential work, and it probably is Liszt's greatest purely orchestral work, even making allowances for the tone poems and Hungarian rhapsodies and a lot of other things. Its seriousness of intent and mastery of technique are more or less congruent. And once you deal with that choral finale, there's a version without the choral finale, by the way. You could just sort of end it. And if you listen to that version, you realize actually that it needs the choral finale. I mean, the choral finale is a good thing in a structural sense. And I leave it to all of you to decide whether you like it or whether you don't like it. But Ataulfo Argenta, in his box on Decca, does the Faust Symphony without the choral finale. I think thereby demonstrating that you really want to have it, in my opinion anyway. A remarkable piece. I mean, if it's not perfect, who cares? Liszt is seldom perfect. Liszt is Liszt. He's daring, and he's imaginative, and he's questing, and if he doesn't always get there with 100% perfection and polish, well, that's the way it goes, and we just have to deal with it. And I'm more than happy to deal with it in this magnificent performance. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.